Best way to make sure this never happens again is we squash it now.
That is to say, the system works so that an authoritarian president was not able to weaponize United States armed forces to keep himself in power after losing a free and fair election. But as those former top military leaders warn in that new piece I quoted at the top, it's not a status quo that we can just kind of take for granted going forward. I quote again, on January 6th, a disturbing number of veterans and active duty members of the military took part in the attack on the Capitol. More than 1 in 10 of those charged in the attacks had a service record. A group of 124 retired military officials under the name Flag Officers for America released a letter echoing Donald Trump's false attacks on legitimacy of our elections. The authors of the op-ed go on to write, quote, the potential for a total breakdown of the chain of command along partisan lines from the top of the chain to the squad level is significant should another insurrection occur. The idea of rogue units organizing among themselves to support the, quote, rightful commander-in-chief cannot be dismissed. At some level, the fundamental small d democratic cultural ethos of the armed forces, at least at the top levels, really did hold, right? That, I mean, at a deep level, the oath to the Constitution and the notion that this is not what the armed forces should ever do, is to interfere in an election, that held. I think your concern, though, is that could be eroded with sustained attempts by the ex-president and his sort of facilitators to eat into that belief, at least among folks that are in the armed forces, which of course is 1.5 million people or whatever.
Indeed, there is an active movement right now on the part of the GOP to infect the armed forces of the United States with doubt that the election process is just not what we expect it to be, to insert doubt that we are conducting fair and elegantly delivered elections.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and this is a tough subject for me. It's a tough subject for anybody who served in the military. I love the military. I love everything about it. It is the military that turned me into the man that I am today. I have a very disciplined schedule. I work out. I try to do the right things. And even though I have medical issues from serving to include multiple surgeries, at this point I would consider myself to be relatively healthy, and that is because of the military. When I was a soldier, it didn't matter where my brothers standing next to me were from, their race, how they pray, who they love. And I sure as hell didn't care about their political beliefs. They were my brothers, and I would die for them, and they would die for me. Sadly, some of my brothers did pay the ultimate sacrifice. So for us to come home and be ripped apart by political ideology, I just can't accept that. Now, I will say this, the people that attacked our nation's capital, those people committed treason. Those that wore the uniform and participated in those attacks, those people, they never deserved to wear the uniform in the first place. Veteran or not, that doesn't matter. That was treason. And what do you think would happen in the military if a soldier was caught betraying their country like those people did? The disgrace alone from the other soldiers would force that person into exile. In the military, we are very good at policing our own. And when someone crosses that line, believe me, they pay the consequences. Now, this is important to understand, and this is something I have to remind myself before I share with you, that the military is special, but it's not perfect. And over the years, many alt-right-wing radicals have joined the military because they love the idea of going overseas and killing people that don't look like them. Fortunately, most of those people never end up being successful in their personal missions, but they exist, and the military does a good job of trying to root them out. But some sneak by, and when they do, they bring their toxic beliefs with them. Now, what we as a country need to do now is take this threat very seriously. January 6th was a practice run for the organizers, and many of them are still running around preparing for part 2, including the snake at the top, Trump. The best way to make sure this never happens again is we squash it now. We punish those responsible for January 6th, all of them. And we send a message that if you even think of betraying your country, there will be hell to pay. Sappers clear the way, airborne on the way.